Hi guys, and welcome back to Pushing Polygons. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Tonight we're unboxing an Xbox 360. Now this is an older console. Microsoft released this console back in 2005. This is a brand new one right here. We're gonna unbox it. I'm gonna show you guys the system, and then we're gonna have a little bit of a discussion about what might be some good games for you guys to consider if you're looking to purchase one of these in late 2021 going into 2022. And with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here, and I'm going to have some B-roll footage. I'm going to have some B-roll footage up of the console. That way you'll see the box 100% all the way around. You guys will get an opportunity for that. And I'm also going to put up some B-roll footage of the console itself going all the way around. And we'll zoom in on the console so you really get a good look at it as we're doing this. But the console itself, I mean, pretty or at least the box, pretty indescript. This is the E model of the Xbox 360. So this is the third model that Microsoft released. There was the original model, which had the removable top big hard drive. There was the S model, which had a more accentuated glass hourglass figure shape, and then there was this model. This model was supposed to reflect what Microsoft considered to be basically a cousin to the Xbox One, the original Xbox One. So we did get two games with this, and this was back when Microsoft actually still physically included games with consoles. They include codes now. So we have Call of Duty Black Ops, Modern Warfare, or excuse me, not Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Don't know why I started saying Modern Warfare. That was a gaffe with that. And then we have Call of Duty Ghosts. And to my understanding, Ghosts was not a well-received game, but that is what was included with this holiday package. Again, it's the blue console, so, you know, I'm going to be blue for Christmas after all. Oh. We have an Xbox headset, standard issue. Doesn't look like there's any special coloring on this, so just standard issue Xbox 360 headset. And let's take a look at this controller. Now, the one thing we do not want to use is we don't want to use the batteries in this, because the batteries themselves are going to be old as sin. So we're going to just take these and chuck them. But what we have here is we have the 360 controller, and again, I'll zoom in on this after so you guys can get some good B-roll of this. We have your A, B, X, Y in the green, blue, yellow, red. You have two, let's call them white or cream white triggers on top, and then you've got some I'm not sure, I think they're blue. You got some blue triggers, and then you have some nice white trim around the bottom where you would plug in the headset. Of course, the battery case on the back is also blue. Again, we will stick some envelopes in here, so we're not worrying about Microsoft battery packs, and really the only thing we have to worry about degrading over the years is going to be the actual mechanics of this controller. We're not going to be bothered with battery packs or play and charge kits that will degrade and no longer work over the years, because as we all well know, Microsoft has stopped producing those for the Xbox 360 long ago. And that's it for cables right there. Let's see, we should have a power cord over here. Oh yeah. And with this small of a console, you can see that the power brick, of course, is still a thing. Gotta love that power brick. Here is a set of standard AV cables. Wow, Microsoft. That's frightening, especially at the time that this console was released. You have the other side of the power cable. It's two-pronged. As far as cables go, that seems to be it. So Microsoft, even at the time of this console launch, did not include an HDMI cable, which actually surprises me. I figured that would be standard on such a release. And we're going to just double check this as before I call quits on anything. Looks like we have some instructions that were crushed underneath the console. And yeah, there is absolutely no HDMI in this thing. So that's a little disappointing, but that's okay. We have HDMI cables all over the place. That is thankfully in 2021, HDMI is pretty ubiquitous. But it is a little disappointing to see that Microsoft didn't do that, considering this console was released late in the life cycle of the system. So we're going to start with the front of this console. And what you can see right here in the silver, and let me go ahead and zoom in on the console so you guys can get a better look. Okay, so what we have here on the front of the console is we have this nice blue shading. I personally find it really, really attractive. And going along with that, we have the tray liner right here. We have, I believe, there used to be an eject button up here, but this is probably the eject button now. Maybe also the power. You still have a little bit of USB down here. We have this nice blue on the console with the newer Xbox symbol. This wasn't the 360 symbol at the start, although they did use something like this, but it transitioned a little bit during the Xbox One generation. You've got, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you have little feet here but you have the feet up here. You've got the air vents right here. Again, let's see if we can get this a little clearer. So you have the air vents here. Again, the feet right here. You're going to pick up a lot of fingerprints on this part of the system. This part down here is a matte finish. On the back of the console, what we have is we have an Ethernet port. I believe this is 10100. I don't think this is 10100 1000. We have, excuse me, and here the Ethernet port is. We have two USBs. I believe these are 2.0s. You have a HDMI port right here on the console. Way over here is the power jack for the console. And you have an AV out, and this would be a coax, potentially a coax out, so you can get 5.1 surround. All Xboxes supported the Dolby Digital standard. Xbox and PlayStation made that a big thing. This, of course, is the console in a format that is laid down a little bit, and I'm trying to position this so you guys can best see the console. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, now that you've seen it, and again there'll be some B-roll footage of this, of the console and the controller spinning around, so you guys can get a look. We're going to talk about some games that you may like on the system. Some games that you may like on the console would include Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 3 ODST. Some concerns that you may have going forward if you want to play these games as they were originally intended on this console is that the online component for the games is going to be taken offline. You're not going to have the ability to play multiplayer, online multiplayer. System Link, of course, will still be available through the Xbox 360 if you have multiple 360s that you can connect together. But a lot of people like to play on live, and those services are going to be disabled as of January 13th, 2022. So that is something to keep in mind when looking at a 360. However, there are other games out there that you may consider. There's such as the Ubisoft Splinter Cell series. There's Splinter Cell Conviction, Splinter Cell Double Agent, Splinter Cell Blacklist. Blacklist really coming at the end of the 360's life cycle and really turning the corner of what that series was, but it may be something worth checking out. It's hard to admit that at this point in the 360's life that this is now considered almost a retro console. In November of 2025, this system will be 20 years old. It will be officially considered retro. I mean, in some circles you may consider it retro now, but it is certainly a classic console. It's now almost at the age where we would hold this console up next to Nintendo or Super Nintendo, Genesis or N64. Like, these consoles have all aged to that point. Just this year, the original Xbox reached that 20-year milestone. And looking back on what we can play today on the Xbox Series, I'm a little disappointed in that, but that is another conversation for another video. Getting back to the Xbox 360. Again, this is the third design. This is the smallest design. It was meant to mimic the Xbox One when it launched. A lot of people don't necessarily like this design. The preference is typically the 360S. The S being the refined hourglass shape of the console. Although this version isn't particularly meaningful in design in any such way, as it is really just an oval box. I mean, very similar to the Xbox One, the original console. I do like the simplicity of this form factor. I do like it in the blue. I think it gives it some character, along with the white trimming for the air vents. The console, of course, being its third iteration, is also the smallest version of the console. So if you don't have a lot of room, this might be one you want to consider for your AV space, or if you have a desk where you don't have a lot of room and you want to squeeze in some classic gaming on a monitor, this might be the version for you, or the version you could consider. I want to touch back on games for just a moment before I wrap up. And the games are really the important part of the 360. There were amazing games on the Xbox 360. There was Mass Effect. There was Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 3, which isn't as highly regarded because of the way the ending turned out. But that trilogy overall, I think, brought a lot to the Xbox 360 and was some of BioWare's finest work. You have, of course, the Dragon Age series. Again, this is from BioWare. You have many different Call of Duties. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Some of the highest regarded first-person shooters to ever be made in the modern era. The next greatest shooter I can think of would be GoldenEye, of course, on the N64, but it's really hard to compare those shooters as they really played completely differently with GoldenEye only having one stick to work with and these having two sticks. Of course, you have the continuation of the Halo series with Halo 3 and 4, but there were other games out there that really capitalized on the refined controller input that Microsoft brought forward with the Xbox 360 controller. You had titles such as Fear, which was a psychological thriller set as a first-person shooter. A lot of people proclaim that Black is a brilliant shooter with great physics and technical proficiency. Whatever that actually means, I don't know. We all have personal preferences. One of the first experiences that I had with an Xbox 360 was playing the demo of Need for Speed Most Wanted. This was Need for Speed 2005, or maybe it was early 2006. And how amazing that game was. It really brought speed and collisions and just tension with high definition graphics really to the scene. It wasn't, we hadn't seen graphics at the 720p or 1080i before, but the 360 was really a graphical jump. This console was the first time that I had ever seen a game on a console really match its PC counterpart. And that game I'm talking about is Call of Duty 2. I had the demo on a Dell XPS at the time, and I had it on the 360. And to be very honest, on a monitor of that era, I had a hard time telling the difference between the two. In fact, and this might be somewhat controversial, I found the 360 one to look just a little bit better. So with that being said, guys, I would say with all the games out there, as the 360 has a brilliant large library, that you would be mistaken to pass this console up. Some of the games, of course, you can get on Series X backward compatibility. Microsoft has done a really, really good job on bringing backwards compatibility for the 360 generation to the Series consoles. However, one thing to keep in mind is that the Xbox 360 can and does play more original Xbox titles than the Series consoles. The Series consoles play maybe 20 or 30 original Xbox games. This plays over 100 of them. There were 900 some odd games in the original Xbox library, and if you want a console which contains both generations, or at least the best of the generations, if you got to own two consoles at this point to play a majority of Xbox content, then you need to own an Xbox Series console and you need to own one of these. That is why I suggest, and I would highly recommend, if you don't have an Xbox 360, that you certainly buy one in 2021 or sometime in 2022. You won't regret it. The library will be there. It'll bring fun for years to come, and it'll give you new titles to explore. I want to thank you guys, of course, for joining me today on Pushing Polygons. If you like this content or you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button so I know what you guys are looking for and I can continue to make content like this. And if you enjoy this video and the few others I have on the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button. Ding it if you will. That way you'll be notified when I put up a new video. But with that being said, guys, happy holidays, and I hope you enjoy 2022. I'm hoping to get some more videos up this week going into the Christmas holiday season. And just a hint, if I get the time, we are going to be looking at one of these. This is an N64 with, make sure I'm pointing at the right spot. This is an N64 with an HDMI. So this has an HDMI mod. I'm really looking forward to bringing that to you guys. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.